Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MarineLord versus DeMusliM. This is the second day of the $100,000 N4C tournament. We do have two players that won their sets yesterday. DeMusliM took down Viper in a 3-1 fashion, whereas on the other side, MarineLord was also successful taking down his opponent. He took down Lucifron 3-0, the only player to win in a 3-0 fashion the first day. We're opening up with Mongolian Heights as game number 1. The reason why is rather simple. The players pick 2 home maps each and ban 1 home map as well, which means that whatever left out of the 7 map pool is going to be the map played in game number 1. Usually that's Arabia, but not in all cases, and as you see over here, we're opening up with Mongolian Heights. Bit of a scuffle for the Wolves over here, as you do see our blue player, MarineLord, aggroing quite a lot of Wolves. He's playing Rus on the left side in blue, and on the right side, DeMusliM is playing as the Red Holy Roman Empire. So obviously, DeMusliM is trying to maximize the efficiency of those scouts, trying to deny as much bounty from his opponent as possible, but it looks like MarineLord will be able to take that hunt, so that's going to be 70 gold from the deer, and he's also going to secure 50 more gold from the Wolves. So great start over here for MarineLord in terms of bounty. He should have no trouble getting to that 150 region in that next 1 or 2 minutes. So looking at these two players, as I said, both of these players managed to win their respective sets, and you gotta be careful. You gotta be real careful over here, MarineLord. Losing a scout to Wolves would be quite a blunder, I would say, especially right at the start over here. But I have to say, MarineLord is extremely successful gathering the sheep and also very successful aggroing the Wolves. Look at that, that's 3 Wolves, that's 75 gold following, another 25 over here on that other Wolf, and he has managed to gather at least 15, potentially even closer to something like 18 or so sheep. This map, Mongolian Heights, has a ton of sheep to work with, especially on the outer rim, and if the players can secure the majority of those, that also gives them a ton of extra food to work with in the long run, but probably more importantly for a Rus player, it also gives a lot of extra bounty to work with, because each of those sheep will also count for 5 gold. It's not a ton, but it's definitely something that helps, and you see, you're going to have DeMusliM attempting to crosswall the river to try and prevent the opponent from pushing in, and MarineLord knows the drill. He's going to send a fishing ship that way, and he wants to get through those walls before they are even built. One thing he doesn't know is that DeMusliM is going to have those walls up, and it looks like he might not even know about that dock, actually. MarineLord seemed to be very determined to sail that ship to the south. That made me believe that he just wants to get through that wall before it's finished. But that's not the case over here. Maybe he tried to right-click through that wall, and now that it's completed, there is no way to pathfind through. So he's gonna be like, okay, I cannot get there. But this way, the fishing eco of DeMusliM is going to be safe. You gotta love the fact that he's in that corner, so it's difficult for MarineLord to contest it. It's very difficult for MarineLord to sneak a dock upon it. Bit of a scuffle for the Huntables on the right side once again. Of course, whenever you have 1 scout for each player close to those hunts, you always want to be the player that shoots the deer last, because if you're shooting it last, you're going to be the one killing it, and that's exactly what you want to have when you're fighting against Rus for DeMusliM, or when you're using Rus yourself, like MarineLord. Looks like in the end, it's going to be 245 bounty for MarineLord, so he's 5 gold short from that second level of bounty, but he should have no trouble grabbing that. You see, he intentionally kills a sheep because the food does not decay. However, he needs that extra level of bounty because that's going to boost his food eco. On the way to Feudal Age is MarineLord with the Golden Gate. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Aachen Chapel is going to be the expected landmark of choice here for DeMusliM, although we have seen some Minewerk Palace choices, but I will be very surprised to see Minewerk Palace being utilized over here. Okay, we finally have a bit of a calm period over here. It was quite a sudden start, I must say, so bit of an introduction and context to this matchup over here. As we discussed, whoops, sheep had to be picked up again because they were partially blocked by the wall. So as we discussed, MarineLord and the Beastie, MarineLord and DeMusliM took down their opponents in the previous round as well, and now they're fighting for the top spot in the Swiss bracket. The loser of this matchup isn't going to be out. The loser falls lower in the brackets, whereas the winner is going to move upwards, and the more upwards you go in the bracket, the harder and harder your opponents will be, whereas the more downwards you go, the closer and closer you get to elimination. So neither of these players are in immediate danger, but of course they're fighting for that first 2 spots in the Swiss bracket, because the way that this bracket works is that the first 2 players get dropped into the semifinals immediately. So if you get to the top 2 in the Swiss part, you're guaranteed a top 4 spot in the tournament. The other 4 players, so ranks 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the Swiss bracket, get to the quarterfinals, and the winners of those quarterfinals will fight the number 1 and number 2 players of the Swiss bracket, whereas player number 7 and 8 will be eliminated after the Swiss stage. We do have 5 days worth of Swiss stage, this is day number 2, so there is still a redemption arc for either of these players in case they lose. There is still a chance for whoever wins this one to potentially lose a set against the future opponents, so nothing is going to be set in stone after this day, but it definitely will be helpful to win this set over here for either of these players, because, as I said, there is only 5 sets to play, so every single win is going to be extremely impactful. DeMusliM was also quite successful collecting sheep, which is quite admirable given the fact that MarineLord gathered most of the sheep from across the map. So, Beastie, why am I calling DeMusliM Beastie? This is a returning issue for me. Well, I just finished casting a Beastie set, so I guess I'll have to readjust my brain, but DeMusliM, he has quite a lot of sheep to work with, and that is going to help tremendously for his food eco as well, boosted by the Aachen Chapel. Now, given the fact that he has an untouched fishing eco and he's not making a production building, this is likely going to be a straight fast castle. And it looks like we might have a galley popping out here from that dock. There's definitely something coming out, and it's only a fishing ship. You do have one Lodya attack ship attacking that dock here for DeMusliM, and I think that MarineLord will try to burn that dock down as well with a scout, if I'm not mistaken. Meanwhile, a stable is being added by DeMusliM. He could add 1 or 2 horsemen just to make sure that he's not going to get harassed at all. But ultimately, he wants to get to Castle Age, wants to start picking up the relics. Speaking of which, if you look at the relics for DeMusliM here, he's got 3 on this side of the river, all of them relatively safe. This one up here is a little contested, and the Rus player with the warrior monks could easily pick it up in front of the HRE player, especially if they use the Golden Gate to buy themselves up to Castle Age. This relic is somewhat contested over here, but should be easier for MarineLord to grab, whereas this one should fall into the hands of MarineLord. So at the end of the day, for DeMusliM, 3 relics are an option and a possibility. 2 relics should be guaranteed on the far right. The third one will be a little bit more difficult to acquire. First knight appearing on the battlefield here for MarineLord, and the charge is successful. Looks like this is catching DeMusliM off guard. There is a prelate to heal the villagers, but there is so much that you can do over here for DeMusliM, and it looks like he's not even noticing this at all, because the attack notification is going off at the dock. DeMusliM completely ignoring that knight killing the villagers. There's no way that this is intentional, and he still hasn't reacted. What's going on with DeMusliM? Did he unplug his keyboard or what? I think he's focusing on his job trying to save it, and he's losing all the villagers. It's game over. It's game over for DeMusliM. He didn't notice those gold miners, and he's done. I wonder if there were any technical difficulties or something. I really wonder. Because there is no way that this intentionally happened. Apparently the civilization draft is not showing up, so hang on for a brief moment, because, well, I thought we do have the civilization draft up as well. So we'll have to look into this one. I'm really curious, because something is wrong with this. Something is 100% wrong. So hang on for a brief moment while we're trying to figure out what's going on. I'm not going to add the score right now for MarineLord, because it's very possible that there might have been some technical difficulties. No matter how high the pressure, there is no way that DeMusliM would lose 7 villagers this early game like that. So something may have happened. Maybe he didn't have sound or anything. It's possible. We'll have to see. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MarineLord versus DeMusliM. And as you see on the scoreboard is right, 1-0. We had a bit of a break in between game number 1 and 2, and it really seems like DeMusliM just didn't notice those villagers getting slain on that gold mine, which means that he just lost the first game extremely easily, one of the easiest defeats that we'll probably see in the entire tournament. Now, you could ask how is it possible he didn't notice that? And the answer is that his dock was continuously under attack, and we've talked about this multiple times in some of my previous casts. When you have multiple attack notifications going off at the same time, sometimes you don't even notice that there's a brand new attack notification going off. So he was probably hearing the attack notification, he saw the dog being attacked, and he was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm hearing. And even though he was attacked elsewhere, he didn't notice it because it's the same sound. So because of that, DeMusliM didn't notice those villagers getting slain on that gold mine, and so that's a very easy victory here for MarineLord. Going into game number 2, this is going to be the first home map of DeMusliM. We are playing Arabia, and on the right side we'll have MarineLord playing as the Mongols in blue, and on the left side DeMusliM is picking the Abbasids in red. This is the tough civilization matchup for the Abbasids, and I get the feel that in one way or another, DeMusliM was trying to counterpick the French with the Abbasids. We have seen that in multiple instances, that if you're expecting your opponent to play the French over here, which is a realistic possibility on such an open map, you're trying to counterpick that with Abbasids. But the Mongols have a great matchup against the Abbasids because they are a very aggressive civilization, able to punish a 2-town center boom, or just go straight into Castle Age and overrun you with knights and men-at-arms. So this is going to be a difficult matchup over here for the Muslim, and it looks like MarineLord is going in for an aggression over here, dropping a barracks right now. For a brief moment, he ran out of sheep underneath his town center, I do believe, but now he's bringing back some more, and he is on a barracks with an oval right next to his town center, which means that his pastures will also be extremely effective. Meanwhile, on the other side, you do have the berry spots relatively safe for the Muslim. He's got it over here to the right side of his base. The gold is also at the back, which is definitely helpful here. But one thing I want to highlight is this forest and this forest over here. Both of those are up front, and this is exactly the scenario where the Mongols can come in with towers. You place a tower over here at the start, that gives you a staging ground to attack this wood line over here, potentially gives you a staging ground to attack the berries, or you will just swing it the other way around and you're going to hit the other wood line. That's probably the game plan over here for MarineLord. He's got the barracks, he's gonna have to capitalize on that. Here come the first couple of spearmen, but his opponent is already on the way to Feudal Age. So for the Dark Age aggression from MarineLord, this is a little pedestrian. Makes me wonder what exactly his plan is. If he wants to go for a fast towers aggression, this is already a little too slow for that. He's going to have a Khan harassing those villagers on the berries, and he probably should suspect that his opponent is already on the way to Feudal Age, and there is a tower coming up. Now the question is, since there is not a single spearman escorting that villager right now, villagers pulled by the Muslim could easily take that tower down, but I don't think that the Muslim sees it. If you think about it, the Muslim only has that town center over here to work with, and that town center gives him a line of sight like this. Or maybe even that. Yeah, it's a little difficult when the camera is moving and I'm not the one handling it. But anyways, I'm fairly certain that this tower is unseen here by the Muslim, because if it was seen, he would pull villagers, as we're going to have a stone being mined here. This is very dangerous here for the Muslim, I'm not going to lie. Here's the deal. He's building a strategy on a 2-town center build, but for that he's going to need wood. Wood to make that second town center, and I'm not even sure if he's going to get that up. I don't think that the Muslim was expecting Dark Age aggression over here. What's happening to him? He's getting absolutely slaughtered in these first two games. The spearmen are pushing his villagers on the gold mine. Now he's forced to make a defensive tower on that stone. And you see that the spearmen will gladly charge in, kill 1 or 2 villagers, and now you just gotta set that mining camp on fire. That will give resources to MarineLord as well. MarineLord is already in a great position here, to be honest, because as you see, the tower is going to finish. You might even be able to take down those spears with it. The villager might actually fall. Yep. Villager is going to fall, MarineLord will lose some of his spearmen, but I mean, MarineLord has a tower up in front of his opponent's base, and he has a spearman harassing those lumberjacks. Apparently the town center is taking his time finishing off that spearman. No more villagers are killed, however. MarineLord, another tower being dropped as we speak. And here's the deal. Now you manage to cut off your opponent from gold. Now, the Muslim has enough gold in the bank to research the fresh foodstuffs upgrade, which is vital at this point. If the Muslim didn't have that gold, it would be an absolute disaster. He has enough gold for fresh foodstuffs, which is a key upgrade for the Abbasids to pick. But he lost access to his berries. There is 2 more patches of berries, by the way, for the Muslim to use. So you see, there is one over here, and there is one over here as well. Which means that he could have those as a fallback option. The problem that he's facing is that currently he has no army to fight those spearmen with, and normally when you play this double town center build with the Abbasids, you want to place your TC first, and only after that you start thinking about dropping production buildings, and you see there's not a single production building right now for the Muslim. So even just 2 spearmen for MarineLord is causing so much damage because the Muslim has no tools of fighting that. He's dropping a barracks actually. For a brief moment that seemed like that was going to be an archer range, but instead he changes it up to a barracks. Mining camp is going to get burnt down over here by MarineLord. And you see the villager is sneaking all the way around there. I wonder if he's trying to smuggle a tower up right next to that wood line, because the jackpot would be here. If you get a tower up there, you basically deny this wood line and also cut off the opponent's exit at the back of his base that would give him access to those berries. If he can get a tower up there, the Muslim could be in trouble. And the Muslim is playing this one surprisingly passively. Now, if you look at MarineLord, he's still Dark Age. So he's committing a lot to this one. He's probably going up to Feudal Age right now. Indeed, that Deerstones is just about to be completed. So he's ready for the next stage. And given the fact that his opponent, the Muslim, is going for a barracks for spears, he's probably going to have to add archers himself. Looks like the scout of the Muslim runs into the spearman over here. 2 more hits from the spears. The Muslim loses the scout as well. Absolute disaster for a red player right now. Defensive tower being built as we speak. Those are standard spearman versus standard spearman. No hardened upgrade for either of these players right now. But of course, with all those outposts getting arrow slits now, and of course this fighting taking place on this side, the Muslim is getting pressured so heavily, and keep in mind that behind this one, he still wasn't able to drop that second town center, and his tower is going to go up, but there is also a foothold over here for MarineLord with 1 tower, and he's going to just move a second tower to the right of this one, so he's going to deny the rest of that wood line. And here it goes, 3, 2, 1. You can still squeeze in 1 tower over here, like right here. Because if you drop it over there, and there it is, for MarineLord, that's going to be outside the range of this right-hand side tower from the Muslim, and it could easily hit those villagers in the near future. Second town center coming in for the Muslim right now. For MarineLord, we're not seeing any more army come in right now. He's just grabbing the arrow slits upgrade over here, and it's possible he's going to turn this Dark Age aggression into a fast castle, which is something that we commonly see players do with the Mongols. You can do 2 things when you do so much damage with Dark Age aggression. You can sort of amplify the intensity of your attacks and just try to finish the game right here, right now. Or the alternative is that you're just going to capitalize on the fact that you managed to slow down your opponent so much, and having such an efficient economy with the Mongols allows you to have a pretty decent chance to go for a fast castle after this, and that seems to be the game plan for MarineLord. He's banking up the food, banking up the gold, and you see those towers with the arrow slits already harassing the villagers on the wood line. Of course, MarineLord won't really be able to kill much because the Muslim can always pull the villagers away, but it's going to be difficult to always select the low HP villager and pull it away. I think there is going to be 1 casualty in a matter of seconds. Indeed, there goes the first lady, and here you go. The Muslim struggling to access wood right now. He has nowhere to go. He has absolutely nowhere to go. He might consider just trying to rush this down with the villagers. Instead, he's actually using one of the powers of the Abbasids, being able to make rams right without the blacksmith upgrade. That's actually a pretty decent move here from the Muslim, and part of the reason why having that barracks out there with the spears coming out also helps is that he has spearmen that can make the battering rams already. So he's going to try to take this down with battering rams. This is the moment where MarineLord will probably have to bail on this, but MarineLord has to be happy with this. At this point, he forced his opponent to react so much to this one. Forced him to make a barracks, forced him to make a battering ram, killed a couple of villagers as well, so you see the villager count is basically identical between the 2 players. His opponent is currently on just a few spearmen, and look at that tower. It's taking down another villager, and at this point, you might even get 1 or 2 more kills from your towers over here, so you gotta be careful if you're the Muslim, especially because MarineLord is on the way to Castle Age. So far, it's an excellent execution from MarineLord, because he's able to capitalize on the fact that his opponent is set back so heavily, and now he's going to leverage that fact, turn it into a nice Castle Age advantage, and once that happens, you know what that is next. It's improved siege engineering, men-at-arms, and mangonels supported by rams, step up, built on the right side by MarineLord. He's also dropping those pastures, which will be very effective because they are right next to the Ovu. The only thing that's really missing for MarineLord right now is more production buildings. Looks like there's going to be some spearmen dispatched by the Muslim to try and deal with that 1 spearman that was burning down the battering ram. Finally, the Muslim is going to have access to that forest. He's also going for the berries on the far left side. On the right side, those buildings are still being fired upon by the towers, and I mentioned this before. As long as those towers are firing at your buildings, the attack notification will constantly go off. Look at the minimap right now. There is constantly a pinging for the Muslim that he's being attacked. And this will make it much more difficult for you to spot any kind of incoming aggression elsewhere, because you are used to sort of hearing that attack notification go off every 5 seconds, and it's difficult to spot that there is action going on elsewhere as well, especially if you're just only hearing the attack notification. Is there a 3rd town center I'm seeing for the Muslim? I think it is. He's dropping a 3rd town center right now to the left of that forest that he just defended. So there's going to be a 3rd town center over there for the Muslim. He's been mining stone like crazy, and indeed there is the 3rd town center coming in for our red player. That's going to help quite a bit, I would say, because if you think about that, he needs to increase that villager count desperately. Here come the first couple of men-at-arms from the Muslim. Looks like he's only using 1 barracks, however. And the thing is that I don't think that MarineLord is committing a lot to this push. He could be triple barracks and just spam men-at-arms. He could be double barracks, one stable, go Lancer, Man-at-Arms. But you see, he's just trickling through Men-at-Arms with double training, and that's basically it. Makes me feel like he's just booming here. He's just building up his pasture eco right now. Of course, he's running out of sheep as we speak. And, oh, the Mangadai. Gotta love that unit. Extremely expensive. It's probably the best unit to spend your double training on, because it's very expensive to do it one by one. But it's going to be a great unit to harass the opponent's villagers if there is no tower or town center to help them. It's also very effective against the spearman, because it's just going to run circles around them. It's basically like Khan, so you can just run circles around and keep shooting. Men-at-Arms with a lot of melee armor will be quite effective against the horsemen over here. In the end, the horsemen will clean them up, but behind this one, as you see, there is also going to be a Mangadai being sent towards that stone mine, and if you can mass up your Mangadai, that's extremely devastating. The mobility component, added with the fact that they can also shoot while moving, is lethal. Looks like DeMusliM is finally able to clean up most of the aggression inside his base, but he's still very far away from Castle Age looking at those resources, so unless he's aging up already, which I don't think he is, and indeed he's not aging up, you don't see any progress bar with the House of Wisdom, because he's not aging up right now and he's very far away from Castle Age, he's in serious trouble. He's just not grabbing the Hardened Spearman upgrade, but right now he's getting pushed by Men-at-Arms, something that he has absolutely no answer to. He's even grabbing the Phalanx upgrade, but he's no answer to Man-at-Arms, and there's an attack notification on the left-hand side as well. I think that's either the Khan and or the Mangadai trying to harass those berry villagers. Those berry villas were spotted before, and once again, DeMusliM is focusing over here, and that basically means that he's not noticing what's going on in the left corner. There's a constant pinging attack notification going off. I don't think those berry villagers had a defensive tower. And DeMusliM is focusing over here, which means that he's never noticing what is happening in that corner out there. I wonder how many villagers died, because I'm fairly certain that there had been casualties. 58 to 42 is the villager count, which means that DeMusliM is still pre-9 with the villagers, but I'm really curious about that corner. What's also concerning for DeMusliM is that now he's being overrun by the Men-at-Arms, and he's losing those forward berries. Prayer Tent dropped by MarineLord, that's going to allow him to start picking up the relics quite swiftly, once again capitalizing on the advantage that he has. He's fully aware that he's behind in villagers, but he's going to have the step red up, he's going to have the relics, so he has quite a lot of things to compensate for that lower villager count. And one thing that DeMusliM isn't going to have is food income soon if he's losing these berries like that. Once again, villagers getting caught in the crossfire, and the town center is helping, but that's so much that the MarineLord is going to suffer from. The town center is definitely going to help against the Men-at-Arms, but MarineLord doesn't have to be worried. His Men-at-Arms are heavily armored, and that is going to be enough to withstand a lot of firepower of the town center. The battering ram gets taken down, all the towers of MarineLord have been cleaned up previously, but those Men-at-Arms are just keeping up the pressure on those villagers, on those spearmen, and the big problem for DeMusliM is that he's still not going up to Castle Age. As long as he's stuck in feudal, he's stuck fighting with spearmen and horsemen, and that's not a unit composition that's capable of beating the Men-at-Arms. The left side, whatever happened over there is now finished. There is no more aggression coming over there, so all the fighting is just happening in the base of DeMusliM. Shaman now moving out for the first couple of relics over here. MarineLord is really leveraging that map control while also utilizing his Men-at-Arms to great levels of aggression. And I wonder if that Shaman will walk around and try to convert villagers in that corner. Because I'm 95% sure that these villagers have absolutely no defense over there. I didn't see defensive towers previously. And we have seen MarineLord trying to get some sneaky conversions before. That would be a very cheesy way of playing this. There is something coming over there. That's a blue dot. I really wonder if that's a monk or not. Men-at-Arms are still amping up the pressure, and that's exactly what you want to do. If you want to get a conversion, the best thing that you can do is distract your opponent. And I think that blue dot is just now hitting the left side. Men-at-Arms still beating up on the villagers, and as things stand, it looks like we're just going to focus on this battle. DeMusliM still far away from Castle Age. He's just falling deeper and deeper into a pit. That's the problem. The problem here for him is that he's constantly taking ineffective engagements because he's forced to take ineffective engagements. And by taking ineffective engagements, he's forced to spend a ton of resources into army, which basically prevents him from going into castle. He's finally massing up the food that he needs. He's got 1300 gold in the bank as well, but no market to balance it out. But there's already a battering ram coming in from MarineLord. He's got a wonderful pasture eco, as you see over here, powered by the Ovu. He's picking up the relics with the prayer tent, and he's also capturing sacred sites. Looks like the Khan is on the left side. There's a defensive tower, so whatever was there for MarineLord probably fell to the defensive tower now. The Muslim getting ready to go to Castle Age, but still, he has to wait 1.5 minutes. It's actually slightly more than that, 1:45 to wait for the Muslim, and that's a lot of time to wait when there is battering rams and there is men-at-arms pushing you. There is arrow slits on that tower that's going to slow down the advance of the Muslim here, but guess what? MarineLord is charging in, and the men-at-arms with the high melee armor that they have, they're just going to take this fight. Tower is going to be fortified over here, and you can see that wing being built on that Abbasid House of Wisdom. This is something that MarineLord sees as well, and look at that. The spearmen are actually doing quite amazingly, I have to say. Remember, the phalanx allows them to just reach a little longer, which means that they stack up quite well on top of each other, but still, the men-at-arms are taking insanely effective engagements over here. This is the best thing that the Muslim can do here. That's the best thing he can do. This was, as weird as it sounds, like the best fight that he could have taken, yet it's still far from sufficient, simply because as effective though as those spearmen are taking the engagements because of their longer reach and the ability to just sort of stack up on top of each other, the men-at-arms are still a counter unit to the spearman, and as you see, the spearman will just fall to the men-at-arms without any major problems. Men-at-arms once again charging in over here. Fortified tower helping a lot here for the Muslim with the defense, but there is the battering ram, and it looks like the men-at-arms just want to fight. They're pursuing all those spearmen, now turning around, and they just want to jump on the tower. Castle Age is almost in here for the Muslim. If he gets to Castle, he can start popping out crossbows, and he might be able to stop this army over here, but he's gonna have to slow down that battering ram. He's sending out the spears to take down the ram. The ram is taking a lot of damage over here. We're looking at shamans for whatever reason instead of the fight. As up north, these spearmen are pursuing the ram, and they will get it. There is the relic. I think that monk went on to convert the villagers, but that was taken down. Anyways, spearmen take down the battering ram. The Muslim just bought himself a ton of time here, because this way he's now up to Castle Age, and if you look at the villager count, it's actually still looking pretty decent for the Muslim. It would be a bit of a blunder to a certain extent for MarineLord to potentially lose this. Volo attempt coming in here by the monk. That's a disaster for MarineLord. For a moment, I thought that those spears will all get converted, because the spears don't have a huge damage output, so it will take quite a lot of time for them to kill the monk. I think the monk was rather low HP, so they could kill it instantly. But when I first looked at that battle, it felt overly ambitious from the Muslim to try and take that shaman down. But he got away with that one. That could have been a game over if he loses all those spears. Now he's adding crossbowmen, and I feel like he's stabilizing. MarineLord had a large window over here, but he really wasn't able to close this game out. Maybe some Lancers would have been helpful, because despite the fact that the enemy has quite a lot of spears, one thing that the Lancers could have given you is mobility. Imagine 3 Lancers hitting this left side right now. There is not a single spearman defending here. And if the spearmen move to the left side, you can send in the men-at-arms from the right side. Once again, big commitment over here by MarineLord, but this is an overextension now because you have crossbows on the battlefield. And the crossbows will be able to just decimate those men-at-arms numbers. And suddenly, despite the fact that MarineLord has all 3 sacred sites, or at least he had the 3 sacred sites for a brief moment, one of them got neutralized if I'm not mistaken. MarineLord also having 3 relics. He's in a good position, but his advantage sort of is fading away. Crossbows now pushing back the men-at-arms of MarineLord over here. On the left side, you have constant attack notifications. MarineLord is still amping up the pressure. He's trying to raid his opponent, but this is the biggest problem that you're facing with the men-at-arms. They're rather slow-moving, so it takes a lot of time to reinforce the battlefield, and they're just slow and clumsy, so to say. There is the relic for MarineLord. I told you that he wants a conversion. I'm fairly certain that this was the plan the whole time. I wonder if he's now sending that shaman to the middle, trying to get a conversion out there, or he's just yoinking that relic now. To me, it really felt like MarineLord wanted to exploit the fact that the Muslim has dozens of villagers on the left side, completely unprotected. That could have been an opportunity for a Volo on the villagers, but now MarineLord has different things to address because the Muslim is back in terms of army numbers. Now keep in mind that if you look at the incomes per minute, that's actually rather even, in fact better for MarineLord, because he's got the relics, he's got the sacred sites. So despite the fact that the villager count is considerably better for the Muslim, MarineLord's economy is actually way better than his, and now we're seeing some veteran archers being mixed in. Veteran archer is a great unit to deal with both the spearmen and the crossbowmen. That's the unit that MarineLord has to go for. Mangonel is going to be the response, but will that Mangonel be finished even? The men-at-arms of MarineLord charge in, and they will prevent that Mangonel from being built, which allows the archers to dive in and snipe the crossbows, and when the crossbowmen are gone, the men-at-arms will just wreak havoc and pick off all of those spearmen. Looks like the crossbowmen still dealt quite a lot of damage over here. Men-at-arms numbers decimated, but guess what? Speed arrow popped over here for the archers. The gold mine now very much exposed here for the Muslim, and he's going to be forced to pull away his forces. Quite a lot of villagers running to the south over here, but there is nowhere left to go, and there could be the entire villager lead of the Muslim gone away, because all of those villagers are getting torn to shreds. First Mangonel has been added by the Muslim now, so MarineLord is going to have to be careful about that. He's going to have to respect that. And you see multiple barracks being dropped by the Muslim. The answer to the archers is clear. He's going for men-at-arms, but he lost so many villagers over here. He's still ahead by 15, but you got to respect the fact that now it's 3 sacred sites for MarineLord. And of course he's got 4 relics as well, plus the step redoubt. That is a substantially better economy here for MarineLord, who's still a little low on food, by the way. 800 food per minute, yet completely out of food back at home, so the pasture's eco isn't working out to great effect, and the shaman is walking up with the relic. It really feels like MarineLord wants a conversion, which is a little confusing because he's sort of changing his mind every once in a while. He probably was expecting the crossbows to be pulled back and he was just hoping that the infantry will pursue the archers, but now that he's seeing that the crossbows also follow, he's just going to pull back his shaman with the relic. He won't risk it at all. Up north, there are some blue dots, however, and I do think that we are seeing some raiding going off over there. Indeed, men-at-arms finding some villagers on the hunt, and that is an unfinished tower over there, which means that MarineLord could potentially get a couple of villager kills over there. Love the move of finishing the tower over here. And honestly, the problem that you are now facing is that if you abandon that tower and mill, MarineLord will just burn it down for resources. So that's going to be a factor to consider over here for our red player, the Muslim. He's once again pulling back the villagers. One of the issues for him is that he's got constant idle time on his villagers, simply because there is so much pressure here from MarineLord. Very chaotic game, if I may say so. 101 villagers for the Muslim right now, 84 for MarineLord. Overall, the Muslim's population is actually better. Military counts are rather even, but the villager count is better for the Muslim. But of course, MarineLord has the 3 sacred sites and the 4 relics. Just look at the gold income for MarineLord, by the way, and the gold bank. MarineLord could soon think about balancing his eco and going into Imperial at this pace, and soon the Muslim is going to have to neutralize one of the sacred sites, and MarineLord moves in on the gold miners. That's going to be an absolute feast for him, takes down 4 or 5 villagers. He's seeing the Lancers, he knows very well that the archers won't be able to fight that, so he just detaches the men-at-arms, harasses the villagers even further. I think he takes down 1 or 2 more villagers, and uses those men-at-arms as a meat shield, covering his retreat all the way back home. Lancer is now being added by MarineLord as well. He's realizing that he's up against a lot of heavy cavalry now. The spearman numbers have lowered for the Muslim. The crossbow numbers have also lowered. So this is a window to start adding some Lancers for yourself. Looks like not a lot of siege available though for MarineLord, as he's moving up with what seems to be a Gur potentially, or it could be a forward tower as well for movement speed. Lancer once again poking away at the villagers of the Muslim, and you see the pressure from MarineLord is just non-stop. He's coming in every once in a while with men-at-arms, lancers, sometimes the archers, and keeps killing villagers. That's the reason that the Muslim is at 103 villagers right now, and MarineLord is pretty much caught up with 92 for himself. Military numbers now in the favor of MarineLord by quite a significant margin, 84 military population against 57. MarineLord is looking to take a decisive engagement over here. The Springolds are lining up against the Mangonels. First shot comes out from the Springolds, second volley comes out as well, and the Mangonels are being taken down before they could fire a single volley. First Mangonel is down, second Mangonel yet to be taken down because the Springolds of MarineLord also getting killed, and it looks like the Muslim is able to retain 2 of those Mangonels here, which is crucial in this battle. He also has a lot of heavy cavalry and even some horsemen supporting, and because MarineLord's army is mostly just archers, he's struggling to stop this force quite mightily. Here comes the spearman, however. This is not something that the Muslim expected. It looks like MarineLord might have actually baited him into a trap here, because suddenly the numbers are increasing quite rapidly for MarineLord. He's still at 73 military population, and he's got a quite significant force of spearmen and archers. The knight is still getting quite a lot of villagers killed here from the Muslim, so he's still at the 100 villagers region right now. MarineLord Ton of resource income from the sacred sites. Remember, there's 6 minutes left on the countdown only. The spring gold that's newly built for the Muslim is being taken down by the spring golds of MarineLord. The OVO is now under attack, but you're seeing MarineLord regrouping his forces. Spring golds will trade shots against each other. Mangonels still alive, however, for our red player, and those will be extremely important against that big group of archers. Can the Muslim get some shots on those archers? That's the question. The cavalry charges into the spearmen over here. That's a great way to open the fight here for MarineLord. Mangonels opening up against the forces of MarineLord, but you see that this is the Mongol flood that MarineLord is just getting onto the battlefield, and now those Mangonels are soon overrun by spearmen, and as they retreat, the spearmen buffed by the Yam Speed network will just burn them down over here. All the Mangonels gone, and the Muslim is in for retreat. Knights still killing villagers up top, and that is starting to be painful for the Muslim because it's hurting his food eco. You see, it's still about 1,000 food per minute, as opposed to MarineLord now having 2,000 per minute, supported by so much gold. The Muslim is in serious trouble because, as weird as it sounds like, now MarineLord doesn't have to push. MarineLord has 74 army against 37, double the army as his opponents, and the most important thing is that there is only 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining on that sacred site countdown. MarineLord, however, he doesn't want to win with the sacred sites, he wants to win with conquest, and he's pushing into the base of the opponent. Since the army right now for the Muslim is mostly just crossbowmen and cavalry, the spearmen will work to great effect, and the archers will also be quite effective against all those crossbowmen. Once again, the newly built Mangonel is already under attack by the spears, and that newly built Mangonel is also getting burnt down over here. Resources lost over there for the Muslim, while his farmers are getting picked off by the archers. Army is just non-existent soon for the Muslim at this pace, and MarineLord, now realizing that this might be a slight overextension, he's going to fall back, regroup, and he will just try to focus on keeping the opponent off from those sacred sites as long as possible. New Mangonel is up for the Muslim, as it looks like MarineLord is trying to work on new Springolds, but he accidentally misclicks his forces, so he didn't finish the Springolds in time. Lancers will try to loop around, try to get some torches on top of that Mangonel. Now MarineLord knows that he's up against Mangonels. Look at that, villagers! Villagers are being pulled against the siege weapons over here. MarineLord has to fight off all those villagers, and look at the peasant rebellion here for the Muslim. He takes down all 3 Springolds, a crucial move. Cheap villagers, great torch damage. This is exactly what the Muslim needed. He gets rid of the Springolds, and suddenly that Mangonel could be more effective than ever. Still, there is a lot of spearmen to deal with, and the crossbows won't be able to hold them off. The Mangonel fires off a volley. That's going to damage quite a lot of archers here, but the Mangonel also gets taken down by the spears. And once again, the archer flood and the spearman flood is just overrunning the crossbows of the Muslim. He's running out of army to fight with. It's only crossbows now, and the villagers won't save him from an archer flood. MarineLord closes game number 2 out with the Mongol flood over here. Very convincing game once again from MarineLord. Game number 1 was a little weird, I would say, in many ways, simply because we just saw the Muslim losing 6 villagers and then tapping out. But now, MarineLord, very convincing game number 2, quite a back and forth game. But really, the thing that set this entire game up here for MarineLord was the ability to harass the opponent at the beginning. Those key towers that denied that second town center for so long, that denied the berries, denied the gold income, those slowed down the Muslims substantially, and this allowed MarineLord to get to Castle Age really fast, and even though the men-at-arms weren't used to the greatest effect, one thing that MarineLord accomplished was that he was constantly pressuring his opponent. So despite the fact that he was losing quite a lot of men-at-arms to tower fire or town center fire, in the end he was able to secure 4 or 5 relics, 3 sacred sites, and from that point on, despite the fact that he was behind in terms of villagers, he was able to overcome the opponent because he just had such an effective economy. Of course, the Ovu being right next to the town center allowed him to have a great pasture economy as well for his food eco, and the map control that he had just provided him with all the gold he needed from the sacred sites, and of course the relics. Welcome back to MarineLord versus DeMusliM over here. We are going into game number 3 with match point in the hands of MarineLord. He's going to be using the blue color with Chinese on Altai, whereas on the left side we'll have DeMusliM playing as the Delhi Sultanate. Delhi, a somewhat off-meta civilization pick for this map, but it is a civilization that has a high win rate, and there is a reason why. It is a very powerful civilization, great economy, great ability to spam out units, but I do believe that Chinese is one of those sneaky civilizations that actually have a good matchup against Delhi, or at least a somewhat reasonable matchup. Because if you think about it, the Imperial officers actually can deal the same amount of effect, or the same type of effect, as the scholars can, at least in early game. So the ability for the Delhi to empower their buildings with efficient production is something that can be matched with a scholar or an imperial officer supervising a building for the Chinese. Whereas, for example, the efficiency of the berry gathering for the Delhi Sultanate is something that you can, to a certain extent, emulate with a supervised mill as well for the Chinese. And of course, the Chinese faster training villagers once you get to Song Dynasty, the ability to flood out military units with the supervised ability, as I said, is something that could provide them with a reasonable matchup against Delhi. One thing is sure, DeMusliM, even if he wins here, which I think he has a reasonable chance to because I still believe that Delhi is the better civilization of the two, he's going to give up one of his strongest civilizations, whereas MarineLord is using one of the weaker civs out here. Now, Chinese is a powerful civilization on this map in particular, but of course Delhi is a good all-around civilization, so MarineLord would have his Delhi still available for future games, while using a less significant civilization, so to say. Looks like MarineLord was quite unlucky over here with the sheep, or excuse me, that's DeMusliM. My brain is also slowing down. It has been like 6.5 or 7 hours of casting, so I do apologize for that. It is going to be DeMusliM being quite unlucky with the sheep gathering, not the end of the world. It is already the berry being the primary target for him right now. So let's look at the maps of the players here real quickly. Because one thing that you will always have to consider on this map is how vulnerable the players' bases are. So for DeMusliM, there are some pros and cons. Both of the forests are up front, which definitely makes it difficult to access wood in case you get pushed from the front. In fact, it's actually very concerning for him. The bright side of the things here is that it's rather easy for him to wall himself up using those forests and the cliffs. The right side is a little bit more problematic, but if you put in some effort, you could get these walls going over here, or potentially even out here. And what this would give you is access to multiple berry patches here and here, and it would also secure you 2 gold mines on the south, and there's 1 extra gold mine right next to those berries as well. Meanwhile, looking at the other side for the base of MarineLord, he's not really a big waller, so I would be somewhat surprised if he did a lot of walling, but he could do some walls over here in front, and then after that, I would think that walling to this cliff and then walling this off over here is probably what makes the most sense, especially if you don't make sure that your opponent isn't going to be able to push you. Now, here comes the trick. MarineLord dropping the Barbican of the Sun in the central area of the map. He's going to try and deny one sacred site with the Barbican of the Sun, a very clever move. Fun little fact is that I usually don't play 1v1 games, but every 3 or 4 months, this applies to both Age of Empires games, Age of Empires 2 and 4, every 3 or 4 months I get the feel that I want to play some games. And about a week ago, I got the feel that I want to play some Age of Empires 4. I got Altai, Chinese versus Delhi, and I was Chinese, and I did the exact same thing. I'm obviously not saying that MarineLord copied me by any means. In fact, I'm fairly certain that this is something that anyone with more than 5 brain cells can figure out. It's not very complicated to drop the Barbican of the Sun over there, but it's an interesting idea from MarineLord. The thing that I wanted to say about this one is that it didn't work for me. Of course, I am an absolute noob, whereas MarineLord is a professional player, so it doesn't really mean that it's not going to work for MarineLord, but the problem that you're facing over here is that you have to protect that Barbican of the Sun. And that's going to be difficult. It's going to give you a buffer, and it's going to guarantee that your opponent can't pick up the central sacred site that easily. And if you wall off the right side, like what MarineLord is doing, things could get a little more interesting. I wonder if he's going to try to wall the northern side as well, because if he can accomplish all 3 of that, it's a completely different story, and he's dropping a tower over there. Now, do keep in mind that Chinese villagers build a little faster, so it helps a lot to try and get those walls up, try and get those towers up, and I'm starting to like MarineLord's build here a lot. He's mining stone, which could still be just for the hand cannon slits on the towers, or it could also be for additional town centers. He's only mining with 3 villagers, if I'm not mistaken, so it's not a ton of commitment towards it, so he will either have a substantially delayed second town center, or he's going to have just arrow slits on those towers from that stone. Sanctity on the way for the Muslim over here, which means that he's ready to start capping those sacred sites. But is he gonna have his window? You see, he's trying to wall off this sacred site over here. He's like, okay, I'm going to wall this in so you cannot neutralize it. But guess what? There is already a tower out there, and as we discussed, you're going to have the hand cannon slits on those towers, which give you a ton of firepower over here. The Muslim will try to wall this off, but at this point, MarineLord is keeping him away from all three sacred sites. And the moment you get here, you nullified one of the two major strengths of the Delhi. As you see, we're still having the other strength of the Delhi available, which is the ability to flood out units, and it's something that they can sustain for quite a long time because their food eco is great thanks to the berries. Look at that, one sacred site is going to be walled in here. One thing that MarineLord could do is drop a tower here. Because if he drops a tower here, he could also guarantee that it's difficult for your opponent to burn through those walls. So that would be an extra level of security over here for MarineLord. He's got a hand cannon tower behind this one, quite cheeky, but I don't think it's going to help that much, because what the Muslim will do is send in one or two units, like a spearman archer first, to absorb the damage from the tower, or even just the scout. That's probably the best unit for that. Absorbs the damage from the tower using the scout, and then sends in the scholar to capture the sacred site. And you see that the range of the tower is also insufficient to cover the entire sacred site. So while this tower is a good idea, it's a little too far away from the wall to be able to affect things over here. Wall slowly being burned down over here for the Muslim. Now, MarineLord knows very well that he won't be able to completely prevent the opponent from capturing the sacred sites. And it's not all about that. It's about delaying it. Because the more you delay it, the larger your window to have a 2-town center Song Dynasty boom potentially, or just get to a fast castle, get to some palace guards, and start contesting the map control. The scholar is now going to reach the sacred site. You could see for a brief moment there was a scholar that was being attacked by the horsemen from MarineLord, but the horsemen will be scared away by the spears. Up north, you have fortified towers defending those sacred sites, so that's not going to be a possibility to capture. And look at that. The scholar staying at the edge of the circle. That is exactly how he avoids being shot at by the tower. And now with some walls coming up over here, this is going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for MarineLord to neutralize. MarineLord is thinking about going into Castle Age. You see, he's playing with one town center right now. So it is going to be one town center, not even Song Dynasty. This is standard Tang Dynasty for him. You can see it at the bottom left. And he just goes for fast castle. Those are the three ingredients of the Chinese play. Song Dynasty, 2 town centers, fast castle. And you basically just alter the order of these. Usually what you see from players is Song Dynasty into fast castle, and then you decide if you want a second town center or not. Or 2 town centers into Song Dynasty and delay Castle Age. This time around, it is going to be MarineLord going for the fast castle first, and he's probably going to just skip Song Dynasty or delay it quite substantially. For now, he's collecting tax with one of the Imperial officers. He only has 2 of those, so it's a little surprising that he's using 1 to collect tax. So he's not supervising the gold mine, for example. Looks like this scout is running around here, look at that. He's going to try and pick off that scholar, trying to bait the spearman into the range of the tower over here. But of course, the scholar is there to heal the spears, and the spears will now get their shots on that horseman. So that horseman is going to be taken down from MarineLord. He won't be able to kill that scholar with it. Meanwhile, looking at the army numbers, MarineLord is just chilling at 1 army, but he's on the way to Castle Age with the clock tower, and I would expect him to try and go for palace guards over here, because palace guards' nest of bees is a difficult composition to stop for any civilization, especially a feudal age Delhi. And I don't think that the Muslim is going into Castle Age just yet. He has just now captured that first sacred site, so he doesn't have a tremendous amount of gold in the bank just yet, although he's slowly banking it up. And in terms of food, he spent quite a lot of resources on horsemen and spearmen, so because MarineLord didn't spend those resources on any military, basically, MarineLord was able to pile up the food he needs for Castle Age a little faster, and you see that MarineLord will send the first couple of palace guards to the other side of the ridge. He's going to try and decap that sacred site. These guys will take the long way around, by the way. It's going to take some time for them to get there, but when they get there, they will be able to decap that sacred site. The problem for MarineLord here is that his opponent, the Muslim, does not want to go into Castle Age. In fact, he will get to Castle Age at some point. You see him piling up the resources, but first, he wants to make a feudal age push happen over here with the battering ram. And this is what I fell to. When I played the same matchup, of course that's low elo, whereas this one is expert level, but this is what I fell to. The push against the Barbican will open up the possibility for the Delhi to capture that sacred site, and if you don't have military presence, you're not going to be able to sort of neutralize that or just decap it. And that's exactly what you're seeing. The Barbican of the Sun is going to get taken down here. I don't think that the MarineLord has the army to stop this one right now. It's 4 Palace Guards versus so many horsemen, so many spearmen. Not going to be an effective fight for the Muslim, but he's going to win this fight because he's got the numbers advantage at this point. Best thing that those Palace Guards can do is slowly grind down those spearman numbers. For now, they're focusing the scout and the horsemen. Slowly but surely, reinforcements are coming in, and MarineLord is neutralizing the sacred side on the right side. You do have the scholar being pulled up here for the Muslim, so he can start healing those units out here, and you're seeing the trickle of men-at-arms, or more precisely Palace Guards, arriving to the battlefield, and slowly but surely, MarineLord is taking over this battle. The Barbican of the Sun is still standing powerful, the hand cannon slits on it, firing away. The sacred site on the right side will be neutralized, and suddenly the Palace Guards reinforcing the battle will start overrunning the forces of the Muslim. While we don't see the base of MarineLord right now, I'll be very surprised if the barracks wasn't supervised. And as I said, the Chinese can do something very similar to the Delhi when it comes to military production. If they supervise the barracks, you can see the scholar or the imperial officer supervising the barracks. That is something that gives an insane amount of flexibility to the Chinese. Any moment that they need to pump out a bunch of Palace Guards, they can just supervise barracks and do just that. Now, you're going to have some men-at-arms soon added by the Muslim over here. He's getting ready to get to Castle Age. He's got multiple scholars healing his army over here, which will make it very difficult to kill. But of course, Palace Guards are meant to be able to take down spearmen, and they're fairly effective against horsemen as well. Palace Guards are now hitting all of those scholars as well. And I think that MarineLord is trying to deny the relic here from the opponent, because the Muslim is almost up to Castle Age. He wants to deny that relic, and now the Muslim is on the run. Once we get to Castle Age, the Muslim will be able to add his own men-at-arms, which are slightly better in combat than the Palace Guards, but the numbers advantage is on the side of MarineLord over here with the Palace Guards. He's trying to get those scholars killed, trying to prevent them from picking up relics, potentially capturing sacred sites, and now you see some more Palace Guards hitting away at those berry villagers. It's a flood of Palace Guards. We have seen something very similar to that in the previous game. Men-at-arms just running all across the economy. That's exactly the same concept over here. This time around, MarineLord is going to be able to flood the opponent even more easily than before, because he's got the Palace Guards with the higher mobility, and that is something that's going to affect things quite a bit. The scholar jumps into the barracks over here for safety, but you see lumberjacks are now being forced back into the town center, and this time around the ecos are rather even. In fact, you do have a villager advantage right now for MarineLord, so he's gonna be able to just continuously pop out the Palace Guards and just force idle time left and right. It's going to be difficult for the Muslim to replenish his army because all of his villagers are idle. Now, the Tower War Elephant is a great addition here for the Muslim. A unit that's very difficult to take down, a unit that's able to a certain extent, pursue those Palace Guards within the base of the Muslim and just keep firing at them. So you don't need to just chase those Palace Guards. You just stay at a position, slowly get closer to the Palace Guards and keep shooting at them. Of course, open field, the Palace Guards will just run away from the elephant. But that elephant is going to buy some time over here for the Muslim. Palace Guards now increased in power in the middle. Once again, you're looking at about 15 Palace Guards, and if you look at the army of the Muslim, it's mostly spearmen and 1 elephant. Now, the Palace Guards aren't particularly powerful against that war elephant out there, but this many Palace Guards could easily overrun him, and I wonder if there is an opening there for the Muslim, and I think there is. If there is an opening over there, that's a disaster. Because for now, MarineLord can ignore the middle, and the Palace Guards will just get straight into the eco of the Muslim. And am I seeing an Imperial Age or am I seeing a Dynasty here? It's a little difficult to tell because the overlay is blocking the building that's being built right now. But here come the Palace Guards, and the problem of the elephant can now be seen. It's a slow unit. It started marching forward. That's an Imperial Academy, so now we're getting towards Song Dynasty here for MarineLord, starting to kill the villagers underneath the town center. Not all villagers can fit inside, and that's exactly what MarineLord wants. He knows he's going to lose some of those Palace Guards, if not all of them, but he just wants to maximize the damage output, kill as many villagers as he can, and that he already did. 52 to 40 is the villager count, and now the Muslim getting forced back into his town center once again. Not a lot of villagers killed on the gold mine, only 1 getting taken down, but a second town center could even be denied over here. I think the TC will finish, but all the villagers will fall nearby. Town center near completion, villagers not jumping into the town center. It looks like only 1 villager will be saved over here. Now, MarineLord with Song Dynasty, he's got a foothold in the middle. He's probably picking up relics if I know him well. Looking at his relic count, he's actually not picking up relics at all. It is the Muslim who's picking up relics. You can see it at the top of the screen. But the key thing is now MarineLord possessing a 16 villagers lead. And of course, he's got the Chinese, so he's also able to supervise his drop-off sites for a slightly more effective economy. And at this point, the Delhi player isn't able to access the relics. So despite the fact that, well, there is 2 relics already garrisoned, the other relics will be difficult to access. The sacred sites will be completely inaccessible for a time being, which means that the gold income isn't going to be spectacular for the Delhi. And elephants, the elephants that are being made by the Muslim right now are extremely gold heavy. Meanwhile, it looks like it's only Palace Guards for MarineLord. He just wants to spam that infantry into the opponent's eco, and that once again is something that he's doing from the north. No wars over here are hurting the Muslims so badly, and you see that the moment the elephants shift to the northern side of the map to try and kill those Palace Guards, the Palace Guards will run away, and the new group from the right side will come in. Palace Guards are being utilized to a certain extent like a slow cavalry unit over here, because while the Palace Guard is a man-at-arms type unit, it has much higher mobility than a man-at-arms, which means that it can sort of outrun many enemies, especially enemy infantry and archers. So you can just swing around, run away if you don't want to fight, and dive in if you do. Looks like the Scholar will get away with the 3rd relic now, so the Muslim is slowly piling up the relics. MarineLord, quite a lot of resources in the bank. I wonder what he's planning. Looks like he's adding some Nest of Bees over here, and some crossbows will hit the field. So he's seeing that there is more and more men-at-arms being added by the Muslim. Response will be the crossbowmen. Palace Guard split into 2 groups. Once again, it's going to be all about that raiding. The moment the Muslim moves in one direction, the Palace Guards will strike from the other. The Muslim finally walling off the northern side, but now the Nest of Bees are arriving over here, and that's going to even things out here, despite the fact that the Palace Guards are inferior in numbers, and they also are weaker in combat than the men-at-arms. Crossbows also joined the party over here. As you see, the Muslim popped the movement speed bonus of those swordsmen, and now he's jumping on the Nest of Bees. Nest of Bees gets taken down. Crossbows will slowly be chased down as well, and you see that MarineLord is going to have to disengage. But behind this one, it's all about the distraction, as those men-at-arms or Palace Guards are getting into the base of the Muslim. This is the reason why you're splitting your Palace Guards into groups of 2. Because this way, you're going to be able to strike where your opponent isn't expecting it, and there is going to be so many more villagers going down over here. That is all the villagers for the Muslim over here. I don't think that he's going to be able to recuperate those villager losses at this point. Now, here come the elephants, and the elephants are really good weapons to take down buildings with. They can just take down the Barbican of the Sun without problems. MarineLord increasing his crossbowman numbers right now. Crossbows will be great against all of those men-at-arms, but it's not going to be good against the elephants right now. Palace Guards once again rampaging the eco of the Muslim, however, and MarineLord is in the driver's seat. He's the one that's harassing the opponent's eco left and right, and I really don't know what the Muslim could do to stop this. He needs to start walling up big time, but I feel like his window is slowly closing, because the longer this game goes, the better it is going to be for the Chinese. That absolutely juggernaut late-game unit composition is something that's going to be difficult to deal with for Delhi. The Delhi not having a sacred site for the last 10 minutes is a serious issue. And am I seeing a castle being built here? I think it's going to be a castle. There it is. Chinese villagers build very fast, so you can easily drop it over there, and that's a great spot. It would deny a forest, it would deny a hunt, and it would deny some berries over here. And the thing is that the Muslims' forces are so slow that by the time they get over here, that castle is going to be finished. The villagers will be able to get away, but this is going to give such a great foothold for MarineLord, and this is a foothold that the Muslim is going to have to deal with. Now those elephants are pursuing that Nest of Bees. Nest of Bees will fall back for the time being. Palace Guards will try to regroup with that. But that castle is going to go up for MarineLord, and it looks like we could see the big battle unfold over here. Nest of Bees opening up against all of those scholars. The crossbows aren't particularly good against the elephants. In fact, they are quite bad, because the elephants are not considered heavy units. Instead, they are like a very, very beefy, tanky horse archer. So they will just take down those crossbows without problems. And I wonder how long this castle actually stays up for MarineLord now. Because the elephants will just take it down, and what do you do against those elephants? I may have been a little too positive about that castle, or I just overestimated its skills. The castle is going to go down over here without any major problems, and now you see a couple of villagers over here for MarineLord. He tried to take some hunt, but those villagers will be taken down over here. 69 villagers for MarineLord, 45 for DeMusliM, because DeMusliM himself is getting raided by those palace guards left and right, and now you're seeing towers placed in the middle, probably with spring golden placements. Slowly but surely Nest of Bees are coming up, and that castle is still staying strong. Nest of Bees opening up against those elephants, and now that you're seeing spearmen arrive, things could change, because the spearmen can do a ton of damage if they can close the distance to the elephants. Elephants trying to get away, but this means that this castle is safe for the time being, and that one spearman is doing so much work. The Nest of Bees will be taken down, and behind this one, DeMusliM slowly cleaning up those palace guards inside his base, but what's left of his eco? It's 43 villagers, 3 relics of course, which helps, and he has the berries on the left side, which also helps. But the problem is that MarineLord's eco numbers are rising a lot faster than DeMuslim's one is. And now, you're looking into a situation where MarineLord could soon think about just slowing the game down over here, getting to Imperial, and just using that superior Chinese unit composition in Imperial. Crossbows will try to focus down the men-at-arms over here. Elephants once again returning to take down the castle. One of those elephants is heavily damaged over here. In fact, 2 of them are heavily damaged. One of them gets taken down by the keep, and the second one could be taken down as well. Remember, those keeps do have hand cannon emplacements on them, so they're actually quite powerful with their firepower. 2 elephants were taken down over here because it wasn't possible for DeMusliM to heal them, and now MarineLord jumps on the last one. A lot of spears over here, and that's sort of the kryptonite of the elephants. As weird as it sounds like, a cavalry archer type unit that's technically supposed to be able to do quite a lot of damage against light infantry, and they do a lot of damage against light infantry. The problem is that that's not enough. The spearmen will overrun your elephants, and the Chinese will take down your Delhi. MarineLord, 3-0 victory over here. Dominant performance, really dominant performance. After game number 1, I said, okay, DeMusliM just had a bad game over there. He didn't see his villagers getting massacred. Game number 2, that was probably the best game of the set. And then game number 3, once again, just dominant performance here from MarineLord. And with that, he's going to stay undefeated. He defeated his opponent Lucifron in the previous round 3-0. MarineLord 3-0ing DeMusliM now. And suddenly, you are seeing a candidate for a champion over here, because MarineLord is looking extremely sharp over here. With that being said, I'm going to sign off. I do apologize for the casting in this set. I really wasn't feeling well in this one. It has been a long day. It has been long 2 days, in fact. So I'll have to take some rest over here. But I do realize that the cast for this 3 games over here was quite a mess. It is what it is. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. See you tomorrow, because the group stage will continue. 4 more best of 5s tomorrow. Most of the sets that were played today are already uploaded, and they are added to the playlist as well. I will try to cover the entire N4C, but keep in mind, I'm just one person, so covering 4 best of 5s every single day for a week is going to be exhausting. I will definitely have to take my rest, because this cast was, well, this last set was quite underwhelming from my part. I do apologize for that, but thank you so much for watching. Take care, and see you next time.